Growing up, I often felt a deep sense of loneliness because I craved a love, an abounding love that almost felt like it made you meek, vulnerable, and needy to ask for it. However, as an adult, the more that I've prioritized giving myself the love that I once was made to believe made you meek, vulnerable, and or needy, the more healed I've become. The more I've been allowing myself to deeply embody my divine feminine, the more that I've been able to move in more receptivity as opposed to resistance. The more I've been able to deeply nurture and heal my inner child. And the more expanded my definition of love has become. Hello, divine beings. It is your girl, iyaKIN. I am the founder of the online non-performative yoga school, Iya, and I'm really happy to be here with you today. We're just going to be kicking it, having a little bit of a conversation to support our inner child. If that's what brought you here, you are definitely in the right place. Before we get into today's video, I want to make sure to let you know that I am relaunching my Divine Feminine Yoga Workshop in the fall in September. If you're new here and you're not familiar with the Divine Feminine Yoga Workshop, you can head to my playlist and click on the Divine Feminine Yoga series. That is the foundation of what I'm going to be teaching and sharing within this workshop. It's also my most popular YouTube playlist on my channel with thousands of views and comments. You can find out a little bit more there. It is also the very first program that I taught as an Aloe Moves coach. It's also the workshop that I toured countless yoga studios in Seattle with as well. And it's been 7 years since I've launched and led this program. I'm super excited to bring it back, and I want to make sure that you don't miss out once registration opens. So pause the video, head to the link in my description box and drop your email in there so you're notified as soon as registration opens. Then go ahead and unpause the video, and I'll see you right back here. All right, y'all. So today we're going to be talking about remothering our bodies. I might get a little emotional, but ultimately what I'm hoping this offers you is reminders for you to share with yourself, specifically to your and with your inner child as you are moving through your divine feminine embodiment journey and or your healing journey, wherever you're finding yourself. So the first gentle reminder that I want to make sure I have for my inner child, that I continuously pour into myself, is that you're beautiful, that I am beautiful as a dark-skinned Black woman. And the reason why this is so important is as someone who his background is Nigerian. I'm from Nigeria. I moved to Seattle, Washington when I was 7 years old. And prior to that, I was in Atlanta, Georgia, where my family and my cousins were all around me. And we grew up in a really tight-knit Nigerian household. I didn't really understand racism or feel like I was different until I moved to Washington State, where there was a drastic difference in races and ethnicities. I went to an all-white school from middle school to high school to college, it was majority non-POC or white Americans or Asian Americans. And it was at that time that I started to develop a lot of self-hate around my dark skin, and that I started to question my beauty. What I would want to remind myself, and what I continue to remind myself, is that I am so beautiful. Just a gentle reminder as to how beautiful I am, and to remind my little me that I have that beauty not only on the outside, but that I have it from the inside. And I think that's so important for so many of us who have experienced racism and or colorism within our own communities, and little microaggressions towards being darker skin, or little digs at our skin complexion. We've definitely all heard it. You're cute for a dark-skinned girl, or this for a dark-skinned girl, and songs and lyrics all over. And even though they're subtle, those subtle comments, when they are consistently repeated and or perpetuated, especially if you grew up in a predominantly white community as a dark-skinned girl, can really have an effect on you. I'm so thankful for the healing that I've done, because I can now look at myself and just see incredible beauty that I do not dispute because of my color of my skin, but it's supported by the color of my skin. And continuing to remind myself of that is essential for me to carry that same message to my future children, so that they never feel uncomfortable and or hatred towards their skin complexion, and to continue to reinforce that knowing, that truth. And continuing to do that for myself is where it all begins. And I'm so, so thankful that I've been able to do that healing, and also that I can genuinely and truthfully remind myself and confirm to myself that I am beautiful from the inside out. The second little gentle reminder is that I am enough. Similarly to growing up in the space that I grew up in Washington State, feeling inadequate in some way because I didn't look like everyone else, and I didn't think like everyone else, and I didn't move like everyone else. But also growing up with ethnic parents who had their own inadequacies that they were trying to combat, and they self-consciously poured that into myself and my siblings. This belief that we had to overachieve just to measure up with the rest of society, and realizing that's not required, that I am enough just as I am. I don't have to overdo or overwork just to prove the bare minimum of where everyone is. That actually me taking time to go slower and live slower is more than enough. And just me being myself suffices, and that I don't have to overdo or over-try or over-perform in order to measure up with the rest of society. That has been so liberating for me, to know that I can create from a place that is rested and receptive, and know that that's enough. Which leads me into the next just little gentle reminder, and that is that I can slow down, and that I don't have to try so effing hard. Oh man, it's taken me years to allow myself to really embody slow living. Like even in my speech, how I talk, I just talk so much slower just because I'm just giving myself time to feel into what I'm going to say, as opposed to just sputtering whatever comes out of my mouth and moving from such a reactive and triggered state. I never knew that I had the permission to slow down, that I could live slowly and still make a living. I also thought that it was really about keeping up with the Joneses and keeping up appearances and staying in the rat race of life, which I know now was from a deep, deep state of survival as opposed to thriving. And I was moving deeply within my sympathetic nervous system, which was my fight or flight response. And it's interesting because I created the term non-performative yoga and or non-performative living well before I embodied it. My soul body deeply craved non-performative living, non-performative yoga, but I had no idea how to begin to embody it. And it was actually my students in one of my yoga teacher training cohorts that I graduated a few years ago that really helped me begin to understand what that was by teaching it to them. And I was teaching it to them, but I was also teaching myself simultaneously. It was from that place that I was really able to begin to slow down on my yoga mat and to stop trying so hard to perform, but to give myself the deep rest that I needed to heal my nervous system. What I learned was that it's so imperative that I heal my nervous system and that I discern whether I'm moving from my parasympathetic or my sympathetic nervous system, but that I have the right to live a more fulfilling life from a place of my rest and digest center. It was like I was trying to slow down, but I didn't know how to do it within my nervous system. And so all of the actions that I was doing were continuing to ramp my nervous system up instead of slow it down. And once I started to learn how to embody and practice non-performative yoga, specifically to activate my parasympathetic nervous system, my rest and digest center, I was able to experience life from that place. And I never thought I could do that. I never thought I had the space or the time or even the right when I was younger, because I always felt like there was so much to prove. Now knowing that I have the permission to live slow and that I don't have to try, not even a little bit. All I have to do is be. It's just letting me know that I don't have to perform, that it's not required. It's not some rebellious act. It's just not required. So amazing, so amazing. The next reminder has been one that it's so interesting because it cannot be intellectualized. It has to be embodied. And that is that I can just receive. Growing up, something that one of my parents always said was, be humble, be humble. You know, like, you need to have humility. And I never understood where that was coming from because I was already such a people pleaser already. Like, I didn't have a big ego growing up whatsoever. I was actually extremely meek and insecure. It just led me to be in a constant state of resistance because I was stonewalling goodness for myself and trying to create it and overcreate it or overcompensate for that an inability to have that within myself by pleasing everybody else. And what I've learned within my divine feminine embodiment is that pleasing is not required and receptivity is it's necessary, that I can just receive. One of my teachers prophesied to me that I would almost abashedly be entitled at this point in my life. I construed that as you can receive everything and more. And allowing myself to even be in a receptive state to like turn my resistance off. Resistance not just stopping things from happening or getting in my own way, but resistance came in the form of me forcing things. It came in the form of me trying super, super hard. It came in the form of me over-efforting and people-pleasing in all those ways. And just turning all of those things off and allowing myself to come to a deep state of receptivity in my body, where all I have to do is receive. Oh, it's been so settling. It has been so settling and so affirming. It just allows me to be even more in my rest and digest center, my parasympathetic nervous system, and to let goodness flow into me and stay. Because the little me would think that I can't be receptive because I have to hold on to the little goodness that I have. Like, I don't know how long this is going to last. It's going to outrun itself. And if I give it away, then I don't know when I'm going to get it again. And I no longer believe that. I can be receptive because states of goodness is a state of goodness, and it will just keep duplicating itself. And when stuff hits the fan, I understand that it's just for a period of time, and goodness will continue even through that. It's all about where my perspective is. And that's been on point. The last gentle reminder for my inner child, and this one I'm still working on, but I work on it by reminding myself, is that I deserve to be cared for. I deserve to be loved. And I believe that came from like when I was a young child, really having this belief that a part of me was a burden, that I was very emotionally needy as a child in a way that felt like too much for my family. And some of that led to some emotional neglect that led me to believe that I wasn't worthy enough to be cared for or loved. I know now that not only do I deserve to be cared for by the people in my life, but I deserve to be cared for by myself. And the way that I care for myself now, man, it's like a light years difference in how I've cared for myself in the past. Actually, I didn't care for myself in the past. I didn't really know how. And now just being able to love on myself, to care for myself, to give myself what I need, to meet my own needs, to give myself grace, to not be so hard on myself, to not push or force myself to try so hard to prove, to not feel like I need to prove, is ushering in people who can give me the same grace, who can love me at the same capacity, who can pour into me, who can affirm me, who can love on me and remind me of who I am if and when I forget. It's just like, wow. I'm really thankful for that. And it's for us all to remember that we deeply deserve to be cared for, we deeply deserve to be loved, and we deeply deserve that from ourselves. We deeply deserve that from ourselves. We need that from ourselves more than anything, because that's where everything else begins. And the way that I've been doing that is through deep divine feminine embodiment, through deep love of myself and care of myself, and coming back to my rituals and coming back to allowing myself to embody all the archetypes of the divine feminine, not feeling like I need to perform, to really allow myself to come to a place of receptivity, to receive the goodness that is available for me and keep receiving that and know that I am worthy of that. Like, it's been off the chain. These gentle reminders are so important for us as we go through our healing journey, as we go through our divine feminine embodiment journey. Because our inner child needs those moments of affirmations when we're triggered or when we're knocked off or out of alignment. And the more we can begin to send these reminders to our inner child and to ourselves, the more self-love we are cultivating within our own bodies, and the less triggered and reactive we are to external stimuli that comes into our life. As Black and brown women, I cannot stress this enough of how important it is for us to receive that being in our bodies is a safe place to be, so that we can receive the people around us who can affirm us in that and hold safe space for us as well. Because we deserve it. I hope this video provided you with the gentle affirmations that you need for your inner child on your journey, wherever you're finding yourself on your path. My hope for you is that you continue to pour deeply into yourself, knowing that you deserve it, knowing that you are worthy of it, and trusting that it will plant a seed that will bloom deep and rich love within your vessel. Don't forget to follow your girl on the gram at Yoga by Biala. And don't forget to follow my online yoga school at iya.well. Continue to be well, y'all, and I'll see you very soon with a new video.